Hi, I'm Liz Forrest, and today on this version of the Community Dialogue, I'm with John Miller of the RSVP program, and I'm going to ask John to give us a little bit of info about this program and what RSVP stands for.
Sure, thanks Liz. Thanks for the chance to be here. RSVP, obviously, we all think of it as the French, Respondez s'il vous plaît, for a wedding or some other invitation. Apparently, the AmeriCorps program adopted it, and it now stands for Retired and Senior Volunteer Program. However, the volunteer that would choose to come aboard does not need to be retired, so it's a little bit of an unfortunate association. I have to clarify that. When someone is considering joining, they might say, well, I'm not retired yet. Well, the only requirement is that they be over age 55.
Okay, so anybody over age 55 who wants to volunteer can come aboard.
They can, and I should say that I do have a advisory council of just a small 5-6 member council, and an adult of any age can be on board with that. So 18, 20. I do have a young man about 35 that volunteers
as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. So for your RSVP program, what all do you do? What do your volunteers do in the community?
So that is a little bit of a extended answer. This, by the way, is a picture of the flyer that I give to all volunteers if I see them at farmers markets or if they come to my office, which is in 209 South Court, the Senior Center, Milestones Center.
Okay.
They get a copy of that, and I will give them this, which is Volunteer for the Fun of It in Jefferson County. We encourage people to choose something from this list. We do not assign anybody.
Okay.
It's a list of about 20 or 21 agencies. I have a little hard time keeping track now that we're over 20. There is one agency not on the list which is kind of in the process of being accepted. But the requirement to be an agency where I can place volunteers is strictly that the agency be either a health service agency for the county or that it be a 501c3 registered nonprofit. Yeah. So these are almost all of the ones listed here are the 501 variety.
Okay.
And I don't know if we have time, but I would be glad to just touch on each of these.
Sure. Yeah.
At some point if we have time.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the individuals that want to volunteer, if they are up for, the criteria, they are above age 55, is there anything that, list-wise, do you have a list of opportunities of things that they can do? Like what types of activities can people volunteer for?
So beyond this list, I do not. But in this list, I have a description for each of the nonprofits, a brief description of what types of activities are available. And then someone expresses an interest, I can link them with the agency. While they're in the office, I will call, and usually I can get through to somebody who can say, yes, right now we need so-and-so, and even maybe on this day of the week or something.
Okay, so you have a bunch of volunteers through your organization, and then you kind of place them with different people who are in your bank of.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So some of the things that your volunteers have done in the past, I know you had mentioned that you have some people who do pen pal letters with the students at the school. So other than that type of activity, what kind of activities have your volunteers been doing?
Okay, we have every year we have a small group to which we give training, I should add, that will help with tax preparation, which is a wonderful service for anyone. You do not need to be over age 55 to receive tax prep service.
Okay.
Our volunteers are over 55. But we put them through a number of days of training to prepare them to help others prepare taxes. And we also have some professional staff in case there is a question that comes up.
Okay.
That service is available, of course, just in the tax season, January, February, so forth, into March.
Mm-hmm.
But we have had hundreds of people save thousands of dollars by taking advantage of this. And it is also available to our volunteers to receive that service. It's a pick-up and drop-off service. They will
okay.
drop off their forms in my office and come back a week or so later and pick up the finished results.
Okay, so they can bring their stuff in and
Right.
have someone essentially do their tax prep for them?
Mhm.
Okay.
So that's a big help. And then we have, well, let's see, I have a couple of volunteers that have helped with Noah's Ark, a couple that have helped with the only agency outside of our county boundary, American Gothic, just on the edge between us
over in
and
Eldon.
Wapello, yes.
Okay.
And let's see, the Lord's Cupboard, I always have a couple volunteers that help with the packing of orders there.
Wonderful.
And let's see, I have, the city of Fairfield is listed because I have a couple of volunteers that help with things like litter pickup, or if the city has their annual bike event or something
Yes.
and they need volunteers, I can help with that. Let's see, ushering is very popular.
Okay. Can you expand on that just a little bit for us and let us know how your volunteers are serving us
Sure.
in the
So
community?
the Sondheim, or the Fairfield Arts and Convention Center, as it is called, always has a need for ushering, taking tickets, and so forth for their
show.
weekly events. And I have a number of people on board with that. That is probably the second most popular of the opportunities available, Pen Pals being the most popular.
Yeah.
Easiest, done from your home.
Yeah. Wonderful to interact
And-
with those children
right.
as well. Yeah.
And I should say that we just last week had the face-to-face with the kids, which was really
Oh,
fun.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Got to meet them for the first time. But the ushering has a nice perk, which is you sell the ticket or bring the patron to their seat, whatever. You can then remain for the event yourself, free
Wow.
of charge.
Yeah.
And of course, some of those are
Expensive shows.
$30, $40,
Yeah.
$50 events, so that's really quite a opportunity.
A great benefit of volunteering. Yeah.
Library usually has a need for a little bit of help, whether it's with their book sales or with checking books on the shelf to make sure they're
On the right place.
have been returned
Yes.
properly. I just recently, the children's librarian there, Sarah, put a call out for volunteers to help with a children's reading event there, and I was astounded. I have 76 volunteers right now on
Wow.
board, and 7 of them responded. I just emailed them and said, this is available.
Yeah.
And it's
Amazing.
the first time I've ever had more than 1 or 2 people.
Jump right on.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Sarah also was very happy to
Yeah, I
get
bet.
so many.
It's so amazing, how many community members we have who are willing to jump in to help out our community.
Yeah.
And, for the business owners, needing volunteers, it really is a great way to give back. But it also helps stimulate these seniors if they need that interaction.
Right,
Can you
right.
highlight some of the benefits that people are seeing from that?
Well, there has been some research in that vein that has shown that seniors, not only is there obviously a social connection that is helpful, but there's actually a psychological benefit in terms of what shall I say? I guess you could say avoidance of depression, or less incidence of depression.
Yes, it lessens.
Because it enables them to reach out in ways that they maybe hadn't done previously.
Yeah.
And it's actually behind the reason for the program, one of the reasons that it was initiated back in the 70s, is because there was a concern that a lot of people were retiring and kind of fading into the woodwork and in some cases losing that vitality.
Yeah.
And so the program was started to get people back into a somewhat of an active environment, and they can be, looking over my list, they can be as active as they choose to, pretty much. I mean, I have some people that serve 10 or 12 hours a week teaching carpentry in the school system.
Wow, that's awesome.
And then I have others that volunteer for Pen Pal and write a letter for half an hour once every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So there is a wide extreme there. Depends on your interests and your time available.
Yeah, and I've heard so many people say that, once you retire, you kind of lose a sense of purpose for some people.
Yeah.
And not being able to wake up and have something to go and do, can really affect people. So this is a fantastic way for people to have an opportunity to continue, getting up in the morning for something because there's value in serving others and helping. Yeah, what a great opportunity. Do you have any big events coming up for your volunteers? Anything in the future?
Well, that is basically up to the agencies themselves. And if that arises, I do get calls from, well, like the library, for example, or something. They will say, can you help us out? In fact, I'm always getting emails from the coordinator of volunteers at the Sondheim saying, we have an event this weekend, I need 3 people for it or something like that.
Wonderful.
So yeah, it really comes from these agencies to me rather than, I'm not really initiating anything.
Okay,
myself.
So you're kind of the one that kind of coordinates getting the volunteers and helping them to come in connection with the opportunities that are available through these organizations.
Exactly.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And then is there any other information that you would like to share with us?
Well, let me just touch on some I haven't mentioned here.
Okay.
There is the first one that I should mention. Is not, it looks like it's going to be a go-ahead. We just need to get one documentation piece from them. It's the Abundant Mercy Church on the south side of town. They do a food distribution service, kind of like the Lord's Cupboard.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have a couple of volunteers that help with them right now, and they said they could use 1 or 2 more. So that's
Good.
African Violet is a program
Busy.
in town, that provides school supplies, clothing, blankets, so forth, especially for low income. And they have kind of limited hours, but they do welcome the chance to have someone that would help staff that facility.
Wonderful.
I mentioned American Gothic. American Legion, very limited to pretty much their poppy sales once or twice a year. Art Walk, the Welcome Table, Chamber of Commerce when they have their Santa Claus event or their Barnyard Bash
Yes.
in the fall. I mentioned the city of Fairfield. Community Child Care, I have several volunteers that do Pen Pal.
Okay.
Very popular. The Fairfield Productions, I have 1 or 2 volunteers that help Dick DeAngelis with his 8 documentary series.
Yes.
He's into number 4 or 5 now, 5 maybe.
Yeah.
And the Public Library, I mentioned Golden Magnolia as a recent addition, which purchased the Presbyterian Church in town, and they provide Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening meals. So preparing and serving and cleanup and so forth, they welcome. They could
Any
use
type of volunteer, for that. That's wonderful.
1 or 2 more. And yeah, those meals are available, by the way, to anybody in the community.
Yeah.
And they are on a donation basis, so it's whatever you're comfortable with. And let's see, Restore. I've had volunteers serve there in the past as far as they always need help for cashier or preparing some of the goods they've received to get them
Yes. Ready
up to
to
condition to sell, to
Yeah.
resell. And Iowa State Extension, they have a STEM program. And I've been trying to get some veteran volunteers I have on board so that they can give some programming to the students to share their military experience with the students, the kids, just to give them some idea of the diversity of
Yeah.
experience available, or I should say diversity of work duties available. We think of combat
Yes.
when we think of military, but there are a lot of other support roles that are involved that the kids could benefit from understanding. So that's something that we're actually going to do that out of the VFW in town, which is another one of my agencies on board. They are hosting a Girl Scout event in September.
Interesting.
20 or 30 Girl Scouts will be coming to experience 6 or 7 veterans sharing just a few minutes of their past experiences.
Wow.
You know?
That'll be great.
Yeah, I think so. Noah's Ark has been accepting volunteers. They have not had volunteers for a couple of years because of COVID, and they don't want anything to be transmitted to or
Yeah.
from the pets.
Yeah.
And let's see.
It sounds like a very diverse opportunity,
Yeah, indeed.
you know, for individuals, whether you want to work with animals potentially, whether you want to work at the Sondheim and kind of see the shows,
Right.
you want to interact with the children, you want to help give back by serving those who are hungry. It sounds like you can do just a little bit of anything. And,
Right.
you know, construction, like you said, teaching and mentoring those students. It sounds like a lot of amazing opportunities. And
Indeed.
there's really nothing. Is there any screening criteria that you have for your volunteers other than just the age requirement?
There is, we do fill out an application with them, and then I strictly try to place them with what is most appropriate for their interests and skills. So we do not require that a volunteer have a particular skill set coming on board. As I mentioned previously with talking with Mr. Elmker, that they can write, anybody who can read and write can write a letter to kids.
Yeah.
Pretty easy. Now tax prep requires some experience. Otherwise, it is pretty much learn as you go. I mean, someone wants to help Mr. DeAngelis with his documentaries, might learn some skills while they are
Working with them.
Yeah, working, maybe they are just acting as a greeter at a showing of the movie
Yeah.
at first.
Yeah.
But then he might train somebody how to do some research for him for the next
The next series.
documentary.
Yeah.
or something. So, you know, a lot of it would be learn as you go.
Yeah. Awesome. What an amazing opportunity that you have brought to the community and all of the volunteers that you have. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So we'll have more information listed on the documentary video dialogue
Very good.
on the YouTube, and people will be able to find more of that there. So if you're interested in connecting with John and helping out to volunteer, we'll have that available there. I thank you for
Good,
bringing
my
us all
pleasure.
this
Thank you, Liz.
information. Yes.
It's been a wonderful chance to share, and I'm sure welcoming, you know, who knows, dozens more.
Yes, yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you.